To be honest, I don't know if this is a hot take, but I miss the Reebok era of the UFC, and Venom needs to go. But before you click away, let me explain and see if I can change your mind on the significance of trunks in the UFC. During the beginning of the UFC, it was a free spirit. Fighters were put first, and though it was sloppy, it had a charm to it that separated it from other combat sports. Fighters became extremely recognizable from trunks alone, and that imperfection and humanity defined the era. Star examples are Anthony Pettis and DC. Fighters could earn a bunch more money through the sponsors, and the shorts looked sick on top of that. But there was a downside. Whereas bigger fighters could earn more from sponsors, smaller fighters were struggling to find sponsors and couldn't live off the UFC alone. So when the UFC introduced the new Reebok shorts, some fans appreciated it and saw it as an equal opportunity for all fighters, but others hated it. It took away the recognizability of a lot of fighters, as well as more revenue. So you can understand why a lot of fighters were very hesitant to accept the new change, as it was something that actually affected the fighters. But due to the golden era that the UFC went through, no one could deny the shorts objectively became a staple of that era. When you think of Prime Conor, you can't help but remember those beautiful Reebok shorts. When you think of Michael Bisping's biggest fights, you can't imagine him in anything but those shorter, black-striped Reebok trunks. And this perfectly leads to my next point: recognizability. A lot of people thought that the Reebok era would be the end of fighter recognizability, but this was completely wrong. Despite more fighters using the same shorts, a lot of big fighters were still able to define themselves in that era, and a lot of fighters are still associated with those trunks to this day. For example, who do you think of when you see these shorts? Chances are you said Tony Ferguson. How about these ones? I know you said Aldo, and that's exactly my point. We can go on and on and on looking at kit after kit, but the result is the same. The shorts were recognizable, and I don't think you can say the same about the Venom shorts. I think the real plight I have with the modern-day UFC fight kit is the lack of personality. The old trunks often represented that individual fighter, and when Reebok came around, they found a perfect mix of sleek and professional. But that technical and gritty side of MMA also came through. But with the modern era, the constant design changes kind of creates inconsistency and a sense of instability, and what we have now just comes across to me as a product. They feel like they're trying too hard to be cool, and in doing so, it neglects individuality, which can make or break potential superstars. That might sound extreme, but I do really stand by that. As someone who did watch UFC 317 and did see Ilya win that second belt live, it just didn't feel the same. Ilya is incredible, but just purely based on aura, his second belt win will always pale in comparisons to people like Conor or DC. And this is where we lead on to the other thing about the modern era UFC. I don't like the belt. I should start this by saying I love Ilya, and this isn't me taking anything away from what he did. He is still one of the best in the UFC right now, and him having less aura is through no fault of his own. I think it was the belt. I think we can all agree that we hate the simplification of iconic logos. And I think this is exactly what the UFC did with the championship belt. When you see the old fighters getting the belt wrapped around them, there is a feeling you get watching that person is the man. They are the best at that time, and the belt plays a way bigger role in that than the UFC ever realized. I see the old belt and it just looks prestigious. Maybe that's because of the history behind it, but it just screams legend to me. And the detailed design definitely played a part in that. But when I see fighters getting the new belt, I just don't get that feeling, and that's because of the design. It's clear the new belt is a very simplified version, and that isn't always bad, but for me personally, it just really pulls me out of the historic immersion because it doesn't hold the same value. It does look nice, but just simplified to the point where it looks like it's trying to be formal instead of trying to send a message. It doesn't take away from the skill of the fighters, but it does put me off a bit. Custom shorts are okay, but even then, the shorts still feel too sharp, and the effect is just gone. But they do still look cool though. In conclusion, the UFC need to bring back fighters having sponsors, or at least let the bigger fighters design their own trunks, possibly even having sponsor patches and pre-approved spots on the shorts. And if they still won't budge, simplify the shorts to basic national colors or bring back Reebok. The belt looks boring, and I want the old one back, even if it was just for one special event. I know this is a very nothing burger of a video, but I just wanted to see if I was alone on this. I don't think I need to say this, but I am not sponsored by Reebok and have no ties to Reebok. And I don't hate Venom. I just think the kits are boring and need a change. Let me know what you think in the comments, and always remember, don't be silly.
Jump the ghillie. It works in practice, doesn't work in fights. Woo!